morning, children. In the previous class of history, we started with the first chapter of history, and the name of the chapter was New Kings and Kingdoms. Children, I hope you remembered it. We studied about the emergence of new dynasties. We studied about Danti Durg, Kadam, Samantas, Gurjara Pratiharas, and we also studied that the kings granted the different titles to themselves, and we studied that the taxes were collected by kings, and the reasons also we studied. Why were the taxes collected? And lastly, we studied about the Prashastis and the lands which were given to the Brahmins. Now today we will again continue with the chapter, and we are going to study the topic warfare for wealth. That is how the wealth was collected by the kings through capturing other regions to gain power as well as wealth. And we are also going to study about another dynasty which came into power, and the dynasty is Cholas. So this is all we are going to study through these slides. So children, we were talking about warfare for wealth. Every ruling dynasty tried to control other areas for wealth by means of war. That is, they tried to acquire wealth by means of war. And these are the three major dynasties which fought for control over Kannauj. Kannauj, it is a place and near the Ganga valley. And children, you know Gurjara Pratihara, Pala, Rashtrakuta, all these three dynasties, they fought for control over Kannauj, and these are their kingdoms. And because there were three parties in this long drawn conflict means that there was a long war for gaining control over Kannauj. Many years they fought for the control, and as the three parties were involved in this war, historians, they described it as the tripartite struggle, and the three of them, they struggled for it. And then many temples, the rulers, they tried to demonstrate their power and resources. Children, do you know how they tried to show their power? By building large temples. And when they attacked one another's kingdom, they chose to attack temples only. And those temples at times were very rich. And one of the best known ruler was Sultan Mahmud of Ghazni. He belonged to Afghanistan. He ruled from 997 to 1030, and he ruled over parts of Central Asia, Iran, northwest parts of subcontinent, and he targeted wealthy temples like Somnath in Gujarat. And children, he also hired a scholar, Al-Biruni, to write an account of subcontinent. He wanted Al-Biruni to write about everything about subcontinent India, and Al-Biruni wrote Kitab al-Hind. And then other kings also engaged in warfare, and among those included the Chahamanas, and then later they were known as Chauhans, who ruled over the areas of Delhi and Ajmer. And children, the best known Chahamana ruler was Prithviraj III. He ruled for the years 1168 to 1192, and Prithviraj III defeated an Afghan ruler, Sultan Mahmud Ghori, in the year 1191. And finally, Prithviraj III lost to him the next year. This is the map how the Cholas they rose to power. Chiefly families in south, so Cholas they belong to the chiefly families in south subordinate to Pallavas, and they were divided into two. First Muttrayar and next Cholas. Muttrayar they held power in regions around Kaveri Delta, and Cholas they were having the power in Urayur. And Vijayala, a Chola chief, captured the Kaveri Delta from Muttrayar in the middle of 9th century, and he built the town of Tanjavur, and he also built a temple of goddess children, and this is the area where Kaveri, Tanjavur, Urayur, these were the areas where the Cholas they rise to power. So this is a story of Chola dynasty, how their kingdom grew in power, and finally how did they rose to a greater heights, and what were the places they captured, and finally what happened to them. You can go through it, children. And these are the places, the map of the southern India where the Cholas established their territories. And then the splendid temples, the very attractive temples, they were built by the Chola Empire. And the temples became the nuclei of settlements that grew around them. And children, they were also centers of craft production, and like bronze images. And these temples they received huge large land endowments from rulers, and the produce of these lands went into maintaining all the specialists who worked and lived near the temple, like priests, garland makers, cooks, sweepers, etc. And this is the image of the two very famous temples at the time of Cholas. One, this is the Brideshwar temple at Tanjavur, and this is Gankai Kondapuram Cholapuram, Gankai Konda Cholapuram temple, children. Can you see how beautiful these temples looked? And then slowly the Cholas they started improving their agricultural activities. So what all measures they took to improve their agriculture? They started clearing land forest lands to bring more land under cultivation. They started digging wells, canals were built, tanks were constructed to collect rainwater, and they built embankments to prevent floods, and Kaveri river provided water for irrigation and fertile soil. So this is how river Kaveri was used for various purposes, and Gankai Konda Cholapuram and Tanjavur temples, how they were situated and where they were situated, and how the Cholas they started doing the irrigation and providing water for irrigation and fertile soil. So this is the map of the places where the Kaveri river provided water. And this is the sluice gate which was built on the Kaveri river. And children, this is few of the key terms which I think you all are not familiar with. You are settlements of peasants. Nadu means a group of villages with settlements of peasants who were called Nadu. And then Velala, Brahmadeva. So these are the few terms, you can go through it. And then the Chola administration. When the Cholas, they came, they rose to power, how their administration was carried on, how they constructed, they built their assembly, their village assembly, and how they divided the powers and how the Chola government was formed. So this all you can read from the book itself, children. And the terminology, which is very important, the terms which are very important for you to understand, like Sultan, it is an Arabic term which means ruler. Then tripartite struggle, a struggle involving three parties. Nagaram, that association of traders. Yuar means settlements of peasants. Sabha means an assembly of Brahmin landowners. And these are the few points to remember while studying the chapter. Gurjara Pratihara, they ruled over Rajasthan and Gujarat. Rashtrakutas, they ruled over Western Deccan. Palas, they ruled over Bengal. Cholas, Tamil Nadu. Chalukyas, Karnataka. Pallavas, they ruled over Kanchipuram in South India. I hope, children, that you are very much clear with the emergence of new dynasties, new kingdoms, the temples which they built, and the foreigners, the Mahmud Ghazni, Gauri, who came to India and they had a tripartite war for acquiring Kannauj, and everything about the chapter I hope till now you are familiar with. Go through the chapter and rest of the doubts will be quite clear to you. Till now, good day. Thank you.